discovering possibilities and potential with passion every day. This is a TPPN production.
It's your ability to understand how it works, to understand how it works.
Live from Indianapolis, Indiana, this is the iPad Possibility Show with your host, Tim Chapman.
Welcome to the iPad Possibilities Podcast, episode number 80, Analysts Fail. Well, welcome, and this podcast is sponsored and supported by Gadget Freeway. You can check out all of their amazing gadgets and gadget accessories over at gadgetfreeway.com, and I'd like to thank them for supporting the show and allowing me to, talk about some really great products that they have, and just producing all the great content that's coming out, including all those great screencasts that I'm still learning how to do, but I'd like to thank them. And with that said, crazy stuff going on this week. Lots of news, and John is... we were talking about having John start it. We were doing a 10 o'clock show. We talked about last week, I think, because he was doing something, and then emergency happened after the stuff he was doing the day. So he's out today. So instead, we've got Wayne Henderson over here doing the show with us tonight. First time on, and he's a podcaster as well. Does some voiceover podcasts. And welcome, Wayne. How are you doing?
Hi, Timothy. I'm doing pretty good on this hot Sunday night here in Southern California. I appreciate you inviting me to kind of fill in at the last minute. This is great. Yeah,
I'm excited because I always have fun with new people on the show because it's just a different take on, I don't know, I like different voices. I think it's fun to mix it up a bit here. And what are the podcasts that you do?
Well, my main podcast at this point is the Fringe Casting with Wayne and Dan podcast. My buddy Dan was also the co-host of my Lost Casting with Wayne and Dan podcast, but I only think we have one episode left of that after we discuss the DVDs coming out. Also do a podcast just called Tuning In with Wayne Henderson that's getting ready to fire back up, and that's kind of my potpourri show where I talk about everything from ballroom dancing, the Green Bay Packers, the best chocolate dipped cones in town, whatever's
on your mind. Yeah,
exactly.
I love those shows. Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking about. I have to find a TV show that I love this fall. I think that's a real a good thing to do a podcast on, because you'll get a lot of listeners that you won't normally get from your typical tech shows and just random topics that you have. I think Cliff has been doing those for a while, and he's brought on a bunch of new listeners that way. So
exactly,
I think that's a great thing to do. So.
And I can vouch for that, because when we started doing Lost Casting and Fringe Casting, it just kind of exploded to a certain extent.
Yeah. So, yeah, with Hulu Plus, I'll be able to find the good shows.
Awesome.
Yes. So, yeah, I'm also looking at getting I'm trying to see if I can demo a unit of those Elgato the Elgato sticks that do the live TV stuff and the Macs and all that. I'm trying to see if I can get one of those to see how that works. With that said, let's just jump into the news of the week. There's a bunch of stuff, and as I was going through the week, I just started putting all these in the show notes, and today I finally organized them, and there is some organization to it, so that's a good thing. The big stuff of the week, let's start with different reading things that are going. So Barnes & Noble, they've had their e-reader app for a long time now. I think it's always been third tier below Kindle and iBooks, and I think it still is, but they've rebranded it as Nook, and they've added the sharing features and stuff like that. Are you a reader at all, and what are your favorite apps for that?
I'm not as much of a reader as I'd like to be. I'm mostly focused on audiobooks, but I did see that story about the Barnes & Noble e-reader changing the name to the Nook, and I'm curious, did anything else change about it, or just the name so it would match that little device they're always trying to push on me when I walk in Barnes & Noble, like they did just 2 hours ago?
Yeah, I was in first time I was in the Barnes and Noble in like months, a couple days ago, and it shocked me that they have this booth set up in the front of every Barnes and Nobles, I guess now, with a sales guy, and it was quite popular, I guess, by a lot of people. People were buying when I was there. It's like, okay, that's kind of cool. They're selling them at least, you know.
Good for them.
Yeah, good for them. But I think they added some of the more Nook like features that sharing, the Nook sharing or lending of books. I think that wasn't in the app before. I think that's in there now.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
I think they're trying to. I want them to add the Nook Study stuff to the iPad app. I think that would be killer because they're doing some cool stuff with education, but I haven't played around with it yet because I'm not really a student anymore, and it's on the iPad, so it's only sort of relevant now.
Yeah, I'm gonna maybe check that out as well.
So yeah, I mean, I've been reading a lot, and I read more now on the iPad than I ever had with paper books, just because it's so much more convenient. And this is one area that the show title is Analysts Fail, and there's two things I think they're going to fail about this week that we're going to talk about. First is analysts predicted people wouldn't read on their iPads. Were they right? And no, I think is the answer there.
Yeah, I can't believe they would even make such a statement. When I see things like that, I'm just like, have they ever touched one, used one, or seen people just dig into reading PDFs, books, everything?
Yeah, exactly. We got this chart here. This is from App Advice. What is your preferred method for reading newspapers and magazines? So this isn't books they're discussing now, but I think it applies to books too a little bit, at least. Mm-hmm. So the iPad, it looks like it's at 43%. Prints at, I believe, it looks like 47%. Laptop computer is a little bit less than the iPad. Mobile phones, a little bit less than that. E-reader is just not on there at all, pretty much. It's like 10%. So the iPad's right up there with print, pretty much. It's pretty close, and it's obvious people are reading on their iPad, and I think it's pretty obvious they're selling a bunch of books in the iBook store because every time Steve's on stage talking about iPad stuff, it's, he mentions iBooks. It's just, going crazy even with the limited content they have, right?
Yeah, and it's getting my mind spinning trying to think of ideas for books because now there's no excuse. If you've got an idea for a book, now's the time to run with it. Yeah,
because you can self-publish now in the iBook store, and it's a pretty cool thing because right now they don't have all the deals with the big, the big publishing houses. That makes the opportunity so much greater for those individual guys because if you have a title with a good keyword in it, like iPad or something, people search for it in iBooks, they'll find it and probably buy it.
Exactly. Get in on the ground floor while the getting's good.
Yeah, I mean, with this podcast, it's like this is my first podcast I ever did, and people found it just because they were searching iPad and iTunes, because a bunch of geeks and Apple guys use iTunes. So
I don't have a camera on my PowerBook G4, but I'm raising my hand because that's how I found your podcast. Yeah. I said there's got to be some iPad podcasts out there.
Yeah, and it's like this is an opportunity. I've always wanted to do podcasts, and here's an iPad. Let's talk about it, But yeah, so I think books are going to be huge on the iPad, and will just continue to grow over time. And let's see what else. There was the other reading stuff this week from Mac Rumors. I found this article for magazine subscribers. People Magazine is the first guys to do this or get accepted to be able to do this. Anyone that's a People, paper edition subscriber gets the iPad edition for free, is what it's looking like here. So pretty great idea here because if you're like me, I don't like paying for content twice.
No, I try not to, but I do catch myself doing that now and then.
Yeah. And up until now, we've had like $4 per issue on the iPad, and I think it should be like $1 issue if they're doing it that way because it's digital. It's not. I don't know. I have a problem paying for digital stuff as high as the original paper versions. Do you feel that same way, or do you feel ripped off with the? I encountered an issue where there's a fairly recent book. It was in hardcover edition for $5 on Amazon because they had a sale going on, right? And if it was the non-sale price is like $20. Paperback was like 10. The iPad version was like 15, 16, 17 bucks, and they had that sale for the hardcover at $5. And it stuff like that happens a lot. I don't see sales happening at all with ebooks.
Not all that much, and I kind of feel the same way, in principle, as far as paying for content twice. But there's certain occasions where, I will pay a little bit extra. As an example, I am a subscriber to the greatest magazine on earth, in my opinion, the I Create magazine from England.
Okay,
that covers. It's about $15 an issue if you buy it like a Barnes and Noble, and you get it like 2 months after the fact. But I subscribed and I get it right away, and I did save quite a bit by subscribing, but still, coming all the way from England, it can take a while. Sometimes there are delays, and so if there's an issue that I know is going to cover things I'm just dying to read about, like something really cool you can do in GarageBand or what have you, I do have the I Create magazine app on my iPhone and iPad, and I think it's $4, $3 or $4 an issue, and I've bought 2 issues because I've been impatient for my mail order paper copy to come in.
Is it 15 because of the shipping costs, I'm guessing?
No, it just seems that a lot of those big, glossy, beautiful British magazines cost like $15, and I have a feeling that even in England they're probably £7 or £8. They're just high quality, just like Macs.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I used to subscribe to Mac Life and Macworld, and I stopped those a while back. I used those like magazines before I ever had a Mac to make me the biggest Mac geek ever. So when I had a Mac, I already knew everything.
There you go. But if you ever have like an extra 15 or 16 bucks, everybody, if you go into Barnes and Noble, and I think even at Borders, you can get a fairly recent copy of iCreate, and just flipping through it. And each issue comes with a software disk with, royalty-free images you can use for this and that. It's just a lot of great stuff.
Awesome.
I geek out every time.
Is the app kind of enhanced, or is it just like a PDF version, or how do they do that?
It's kind of in between. It's not really fancy. I would expect, in fact, I don't think it's officially an iPad app. It's the enlarged iPhone app.
Okay.
I'm waiting patiently for them to upgrade it, because you basically open up the app and then you flip through the pages. No frills really. But it does have an in-app purchase where you can buy either a 6-month digital subscription or a 1-year digital subscription if you're not going to go the paper route at all.
Yeah, that's a good option to have, because I don't like buying episode by episode or issue by issue. I'd much rather have a magazine do subscription on the digital side. Right now, there's not a lot of that. It's like $4 an issue or something stupid.
And they make a pretty good use of the push notifications when a new issue's out. I believe I get that little icon with the 1 there or something. Let me know there's one new thing to go look at.
That is
cool.
Giddy. Because, magazines, it's traditionally you have to have like a month worth of content, and you could have, smaller weekly editions perhaps with the digital versions.
Now there's an idea. I could go for that too.
They could have, completely separate, they have all the content in the paper edition, but every week they give you a little bit and a little bit, and that could be big, I think. 'Cause then you could sell people on both. I don't know. Yeah. Ideas.
Go for it, Tim.
Yeah,
go for it.
But so we got magazines covered, we got books covered, and we can't skip the education market, of course. School's starting right up. And I came across this. It's kind of bizarre. I have a Twitter stream on my website, tppn.tv. It searches just for possibilities, just because I think it's cool to see what people are talking about. And I came across this article. Inklings offers digital textbooks for the iPad, and they're basically They started this, I think, today or the day before. It's an application that you're able to buy chapter by chapter if you want to. You're able to buy the whole book. You're able to download free chapters within books, and it's designed for textbooks. So it's from the ground up. That's what it's for, and they're doing deals with McGraw-Hill and some of those guys, and hopefully those books will start to appear because it's pretty slim pickings right now. But I think this is kind of what we need, because I don't think iBooks would be a good tool. I don't think Kindle would be a good tool for this. I think you need a separate app. Did you come across this or see this yet?
No, I hadn't seen that yet, but as soon as I heard about the iPad coming out from the keynote, I was just thinking that sooner or later they've got to get rid of these vastly overpriced textbooks that all weigh, what, like 10 pounds a piece or something.
Yeah, that's when I was in school. I actually went to the paper place they had on campus and told them to cut the binding off, and just I had a document scanner. I just took like 20-30 minutes and scanned the book in and used Evernote to just carry my books to class.
Interesting, yeah.
Because it's pretty fast once you get the binding off, but you can't resell it, so that's the downside. But
yeah. And they could even present it as green. Think of all the trees they'll save by going with the digital. Think of all the kids coming out of high school and college that won't have severe back problems from carrying them around. A lot of benefits.
Yeah, and when I saw the iPad, I was like, this is going to be perfect, because laptops, as I had digital books during school, I was kind of one of the first people to do that kind of stuff. I think, I don't know, probably other people did that too, but the laptop, it wasn't the best reading experience. Even with the beautiful display I had, I didn't feel compelled to read there. And so the iPad came out about a month before school ended for me. And that 1 month, I read more of my reading assignments than I had that whole semester, sadly.
Talk about cramming.
Yeah, so it's pretty obvious that, the iPad is going to change that industry in a big way. So, and from there, we got other reading stuff I think we'll more talk about next week. And we have some ridiculous stories I have found this week.
There's always one. Do you have some handy?
I got my biggest one this week. I've got his email address and contact information. If anyone wants to contact him and tell him why he's wrong, I have that in the show notes. But he's saying these are the 6 endangered tech species. So this is from Jason Note of this is on Yahoo Finance, provided by The Street. And these are the 6 endangered species in tech. First is digital cameras. The second is video game consoles. The third is navigation devices. The fourth are tablets. And he's including the iPad as one of the main devices in that category. Not just the Windows tablets, netbooks, and e-readers. So I agree with him with the navigation devices. I agree with him on netbooks. The other ones, I think they'll be around for quite a while.
Yeah, because I can't even imagine what on earth is going to replace digital cameras.
Yeah, I think he's thinking iPhones and stuff, but it's a completely different thing. You get much better pictures even with the iPhone 4, I think. SLRs and stuff.
Yeah, there's not going to be too many professional photographers photographing weddings using the iPhone 4. Though I'm sure you could do a decent job, but it's just not going to be the same.
Yeah, the point and shoots might be out the window pretty soon with, iPhones or, an iPod Touch with a decent camera. But digital cameras as a whole, I think we'll still see some really high-end stuff that is necessary.
Exactly.
And video game consoles, that's just a joke. I don't know. There are so many gamers that they don't even use Windows machines. They're using consoles now because that's what they're for. And that's a joke to me. I don't know. Is that a joke to you as well? This video game console is going away pretty soon here.
Oh, yeah, because my son, a college-aged guy, him and all of his buddies, they even have multiples. One has an Xbox, one has the PlayStation 3, and I don't see anything being able to replace that for quite a while either, and I can't imagine what it would be. If I do come up with that, I'll be talking to Steve Jobs and see what we can put together if I come up with a good replacement.
Yeah, my brother actually brought, he's got a PS3, and he actually brought the N64 back just for, old time's sake.
Oh, nice.
But I think Apple will be a big player in this video game console with ITV. I think we'll see. It won't be a requirement. I think you'll have a standalone remote as you do now. But once you get into the apps, you'll have some apps requiring like an iPhone for a controller, and I think it could be a Wii replacement pretty soon with Apple's stuff coming out.
Interesting.
I'm not sure, but I think that has potential there. I think we'll talk about that a little bit later. I've got some stuff from I forget who that was, but some interesting thoughts about that. And navigation devices. I think, are those already dead? I mean, who buys those anymore?
I don't know who buys them, but I do see them for sale my wife watches a lot of QVC, and they frequently are trying to sell TomToms and what have you. I myself, my navigation that comes free with the iPhone using that Google Maps or whatever works great for me. Mm-hmm. My brother-in-law does use the built-in navigation in his vehicle quite a bit, but I wonder what they'll use if he thinks they're going away altogether. Is it just because it's going to be integrated into everybody's smartphones?
Yeah, exactly. Here's the quote. The minute TomTom offered an iPhone application, the entire GPS device market took a turn for the worse. And yeah, I mean, I think it's the apps, right? I mean, Android's got it integrated, and the TomTom app, it's wild. With the dedicated devices, you're stuck to that device for life. That's all. You can't transfer it to another device. And with apps, I have that TomTom app installed on my iPod Touch. I've got the little dock thing. I've got it on my iPad 3G. It works really well. I've got my iPhone and my iPhone 3G. So I've gotten 3 devices for the $50 price I paid, and you just don't get that with the hardware.
Yeah, now it makes sense. I could see the standalone GPS devices just going away. That makes sense now that because somebody needs directions now and then, and it's just going to be in your smartphone instead.
Yeah, I constantly use TomTom on my iPod Touch. I just put it up there, and it just shows me where to go. I turn off the voice stuff because that's just annoying. I can just glance up. Hey, you got to turn here. But yeah, so I think that's the one I agree with here, and netbooks too. But tablets, here we go. Tablets. I'm just gonna read this because I think it's pretty crazy.
Okay.
The iPad gets lots of love from critics and consumers alike, but it's actually a step behind. So he's saying we love it, and that's a good thing, I would imagine. Apple CEO Steve Jobs said in June that the iPad was the company's media missing link. Built before the iPhone but released much later. The problem is that, as a giant iPod Touch, it's less functional than the iPhone that preceded it. Preceded it being the 3GS, I disagree. The iPad is very much a media playback device with a focus on video due to this large screen and relative lack of portability compared to a handset or MP3. If you compare it to a laptop, it's still very portable. I take it everywhere. MPDs. Ruben says, in the case of media playback, there's not much that is outside the scope of handset design to accommodate that. So these players are particularly vulnerable to cannibalization by smartphones, which is something Apple likely realized. I disagree because I wouldn't want to. They're going to have Netflix on the iPhone, right? I'm not going to want to watch a whole movie on my iPhone if I got an iPad.
No.
I mean... I've watched movies on the iPhone. It's great, but I can't just lay back and enjoy a movie like I do on the iPad. It's totally different. Yeah.
There are two different things. I think the guy's wrong on this assessment he's got going on here.
Yeah, and he continues he's got the iPad isn't alone, as perfectly functional Windows tablets face the same plight as users drift toward what Delaney calls the movable experience, with wireless outputs enabling much smaller devices to play in larger screens, airport lounges, classrooms. Android tablets hitting the market, BlackBerry launching its BlackPad in the fall, and even Best Buy hinting at a tablet. The platform is growing, and it's saying unless it slims down or integrates, however, excuses for its existence will shrink. So he's saying... I think those are gone. I think we won't ever have a competition with the iPad. But the final quote here is, what made the iPod so cool and so desirable are things that are done on other devices that do so much else well. a pop culture professor at Syracuse says I imagine we're going to be making fun of the new iPad pretty soon.
And I have the feeling that he's never used one.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I think that'll be a quote to mock him in in a month.
Like when I first ordered my iPad and I waited patiently for it to get here all the way from Shenzhen, China, some friends and family were like, "Why do you want an iPad?" Distant relatives and stuff. I can't see the thing's going to fail. There's no good use for it. And now just this week, that one relative told me, the more I use the one that my daughter brings home from work, and I use it, I hardly ever open my laptop anymore. I'm going to buy one. So they go from I don't see a reason for its existence to I'm going to buy one, all because they've used it.
Yeah, it's exactly that. I mean, the original iPhone, I was very skeptical on the original iPhone. I was like, what? That's cool. I saw the keynote. It's like, that's cool. That might be something I want in the future. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't all set to buy one, and because I didn't have money back then, I was in high school or whatever. And I played with it in an Apple store, 2 weeks after it came out, and 3 days later I bought one and just used it as an iPod Touch for a year. And
really,
yeah, it was because it wasn't contract back then. It was just bought it, and I saw it's like this would be a great PDA for a year, and microphone, all that good stuff. And so yeah, that's how I used the original one for a year, and then I activated it when our family moved over. And it's crazy story because of that. The iPhone 3G, I wasn't able to buy it at the subsidized price, even though I bought the original one at $600. Yeah, I don't know, the whole subsidy thing freaks me out with how they do that stuff.
It gets very messy.
It does. So yeah, I think we'll be making fun of Robert Thomas pretty soon here. Thompson. Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder if these people come up with these crazy stories just so we can talk about them, because that's one of the most, like you said, ridiculous stories. That one's definitely near the top of ridiculous.
Yeah, and I'm sure you probably agree. Netbooks are dead, pretty much. Right?
Yeah, my wife's about ready to toss hers because it takes so long to boot up, it takes so long to shut down, and I pick up my iPad, push a button, and go.
Yeah. And then e-readers were the last one, and I'm half and half on this one. I think if anyone ever bought an iPad and would start reading on it, they'd see there's no reason that I need a e-reader unless I want to read outside extensively. And I think, I don't know, how many people read outside? I find don't most people read inside on a chair or in bed or something?
That's how I do most of my reading, but I know there's some people that are diehard readers that do read at the park or they read at the beach. And, well, you certainly wouldn't want to take your $700 or $800 iPad to the beach, even if it didn't have problems with bright sunlight. So if you're that diehard of a reader, buy both. Use the iPad for everything, and then when you're going to places where it might get damaged by weather or bright sunlight, then buy yourself an El Cheapo e-reader.
Yeah, and I really wish that the DRM thing just gets me. It's like this market, the e-reader market, would be so much more explosive if there wasn't this DRM. Because I could see myself buying a Kindle or a Nook and loading all my iBook purchases on there, and if it all worked, if it wasn't different stores, and just that I would probably own an e-ink display device just to have that option. But I think the DRM is kind of crippling it right now.
Yeah, for the time being, and I don't know why. Every time these new technologies come out, VHS versus beta and Blu-ray versus whatever that other format was that lost, there's always these multiple categories and multiple formats, and eventually things seem to narrow down to one or at the most two. So I think if a couple years from now, this hopefully will be a non-issue, but for now we just kind of pick and choose and try to do the best we can.
Yeah,
I just wish that
music industry way back when there was DRM.
Exactly, and that thankfully is gone.
Yeah,
and I just wish the iBook store had the huge catalog of books in it already that the Amazon Kindle store does, because I go to look for something in the iBook store and it's not there, and I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, even the Nook, they've got a great library. They're new. They're newer than they're probably they're a little bit older than Apple at this, but still, they're new and they've got a good library. So does Borders, surprisingly. It's just Apple that they just don't have the deals. I'm not sure what's up with the publishers because that's the first place I go to buy books. And if they don't, I'll search the Kindle store. And I'm very hesitant upon doing that. Actually, after I bought it, it's like, ooh, I probably should have done the Nook because I could probably crack the DRM at some point and put it on my iPad since it's EPUB. But yeah, it's just a mess right now, and I don't want to be dealing with two libraries. It's it's just a mess.
Yeah.
But I think movies. I think we'll have DRM for a long, long time because I think that you're less inclined to use it on. I don't know, less inclined to use it on multiple devices like you do books and music. I don't know if you agree with that at all.
I think the DRM will be in the movies for a long time, but mostly because there seems to be more profit for the bootleggers.
Yeah, that's one thing with movies. They're usually the pirate, and books that you don't see as many in those quarantine places.
You don't walk down any sketchy streets in L.A. or New York, and there's a table full of people selling pirated EPUB books, for such and such a discounted price. I guess it could happen. Crazy because if because of this DRM and people figure out how to strip it, if that ever gets out, you could sell a boatload of books for dirt cheap because say you could put a bunch of those on a CD. They're kilobytes in size, right? So that could be a huge problem for them. That could be a problem, and of course we do not condone such behavior.
We don't, and I think the way to solve it would be each file that you have, each EPUB download that you have, they kind of put signature in, not the book so it looks different, but just in the file they can see who bought it or something. They've done that with music, I think, in the past, where it doesn't interfere with your listening, but it's just marked in some way to tell who purchased it, and that would, I think, scare enough people off or be able to track people down.
That might be one way to do it, yeah.
But so let's get away from the crazy, ridiculous stuff, even though those are fun to talk about. And if you want to contact the author of that previous story, his Twitter handle is at NOTTEHAM. So that's at not a ham. So don't bother him too much. But let's come to. I've got some random things. The SIM ejector tool evidently is made with liquid metal.
Yeah.
And this was I tested my iPad 3G SIM ejector tool, and that was the liquid metal. I couldn't bend it. It was pretty remarkable.
Oh, and I didn't even try. And my son has that model of an iPhone that has that ejector tool, and I need to get in touch with him and let him know that this is that magical liquid metal. And it is really a lot harder to bend than it looks because I treated it so gently, thinking this is practically a bobby pin
clip. Let me grab mine now. Where is it? I'm trying to find it, and I've got the video here. Where did those go? I've got a bag. Here it is. No? Okay. I'm not sure where they ran off to. But yeah, I've got two of them. Both of them were liquid metal, and it was surprising because I always thought I could bend those and break those really easily.
But you do notice a difference between if they were whatever brand of metal we thought they were.
Yeah, they would have been bendable very easily. And yeah, it's kind of weird. They're just kind of hiding under, secretly this little SIM ejector tool that no one thought would be anything magical or revolutionary. Yeah. And it's just metal.
It's just very geeky cool that they put it out, and it's been 2 years now, almost 2 years. What a secret!
Yeah, I can't believe they held on to the secret. I'm surprised no one tried to test the. I guess it looked close enough to aluminum or whatever that no one figured.
Yeah, what do they think they're going to? What's the advantage to the iPad and other Apple products to use liquid metal, like inside?
Basically, I think thinness, because that SIM ejector tool, it's tiny, but you can't bend it. you can't really scratch it that easily. So I think they're gonna try to create an even thinner iPod Touch, thinner iPhones, and it'd be more durable, so you couldn't, bend an iPhone and break it or something when it's that thin. I think that's where they're going with it.
And if they do go that route, we'll have to see what happens when the folks over at Will It Blend throw one of those in their blenders.
Yeah. I would love to try to blend a blender full of liquid metal ejector tools.
Put your goggles on. Who knows what may happen.
But yeah, I think liquid metal will be cool and make it much more durable. I'm hoping the back of the iPads will become that. So right now you can actually, since it's like this matte finish or something, you can actually brush that off. I'm not sure if that will be able to solve any of that. But yeah, so and I wanted to hear your thoughts on this. A 7-inch iPad, and at first I was very hesitant, thinking that there's no way this is happening. There's no way Apple's going to come out with another iPad, a different size, and it's when the rumors just keep on coming, and there's just so many of them from different sources that it's just got to be true. Do you think this is happening with the iPad? As there's another report this week that Economic Daily reports from Taiwanese companies that they've won a number of component contracts for the iPad 2, 7-inch LCD screens, IPS technology, and so we're hearing more and more of these. And what are your thoughts on this?
I'm with your first thoughts. I just don't see it. I can't imagine why there needs to be, we got the iPhone, we've got the iPad, now something in between. Maybe they'll make an extra big iPad. I can't imagine the benefits of having a 7-inch iPad. I think the current size and form factor of the iPad is what makes it, quote unquote, the magical device that Steve calls it. I just don't see it unless they've got some secret exciting use for it that I can't think of just yet. I don't know what they're going to do. What about this?
A $100 7-inch iPad marketed at the e-reader, news reading magazine, just the iPad reader or something like that. Would that be just a cross against all that the e-reader market? And I'm not sure if they could get the component cost low enough, to do that.
I wonder how good it would be reading on that.
With the Retina, though. It says IPS, but if they did a Retina at 7 inches...
It would be definitely better than the iPhone, and there are people reading on that. And maybe if, like you said, if they could get the prices down low enough and undersell, the Nook and all that stuff, maybe they can get people kind of sucked in and kind of addicted to this iPad product, and then when they love it so much, then when they go to the full-size iPad, then they'll need one of those too. I don't know. If it is true, I know that Steve Jobs has a way of explaining it that'll make me want one.
Yes, I'm sure he will. And I think in the next few years, I'm thinking 5 years, when laptops are fading away, I think we'll have iPad Pro, with different inch sizes. Like, the laptop industry right now, you have different inch sizes and Pro versus. I think the iPad may have that in the future. We're not there yet, but once laptops are in the weaning out phase, I think that'll happen.
That would be cool. I could have an iPad with, maybe a 2 terabyte hard drive, 20 gigs of RAM, and ready to rock.
Yeah, like you have your desktop iPad, your mobile iPad, and I don't know. It's fun to speculate about that kind of stuff, and
yes,
there's a lot of this next story. The Chrome tablet we've been hearing about came out in November, evidently. This I don't get because I've not seen Chrome released as a stable, ready to go operating system. Is it out yet? I thought it was beta still.
Not that I've heard. I think it's I haven't paid too close of attention, but the most I've heard is just that it's still beta. And it'd be interesting to see what they do to it, if nothing else, to make Apple be even more creative and give them a little nudge to make them take things even further faster.
Yeah, and I don't know how compelling a Chrome tablet would be. Well, I'd rather have an Android tablet if it was between the two, because isn't Chrome just a web browser?
I don't know, and maybe they're just calling it a Chrome tablet to kind of throw you off the fact that it might be an Android tablet. I don't know. Google has so many things going on. It's hard to tell what they're doing and what they're going to come out with next. But I have a feeling somebody's going to try to have some iPad competition out before Christmas, and this might be it.
Yeah, we'll see. And I always thought they should just kill Chrome and go Android all the way and just do the skin deal where it's messing up their Android market, but they kind of like it, I guess. I don't know. But this next story, let's move away from Chrome tablets. LG, they're going to have a tablet, right? And
Probably.
This was going to be under the ridiculous story here of the week as one of those. And the headline here is LG tablet will be better than the iPad. Here's the quote. And I think you'll disagree with this too. The first LG tablet will run on Google Inc.'s Android software. Will set itself apart from Apple's iPad by focusing on the ability to create content rather than simply displaying it. The iPad is a great device, but he that's kind of that's a bad quote, but he doesn't do much work on it. Does that make sense? The iPad is a great device, but he doesn't do much work on it.
I think they should have did a spell check when they published their story over there.
Yeah. The tablet will include content focused on creation, such as they should have used will include apps focused on another typo here. Focused on creation such as writing documents, editing video, and creating programs. So writing code on the iPad, is that what it's saying there? It will have high-end features and new benefits, many of which will focus on productivity, Mr. Ma said. It's going to be surprisingly productive. Our tablet will be better than the iPad. And I disagree.
Yeah, show me.
Yeah, I don't think Android's. I don't think it's ready for the tablet space. I think they need. I think they'll need the update, the 3.0 update, which is going to be focused on tablets, which they've announced coming later this year. And if it's running that might be good. But I think the big holding point here is the apps. The iPad has a lot of productivity apps. You can get some serious work done on the iPad already, and I think that's just gonna be way too behind to do that with this Android stuff because there's no apps for it.
Yeah, especially with the iPad. It is only version 1, and it's already very cool. And the apps that people are creating, like you said, by the time version 2 of the iPad comes out, who knows what awesome things are going to be in there. And the LG using Android, I heard a few studies recently, and I forget exactly where I heard them, that as far as the iPhone and the iPad, those apps in the Apple App Store, people are more willing to buy them, $4.99, $9.99, and what have you. But the Google App Store, for the most part, on average, people just want all the free stuff.
Yeah. And you can sell a $50, OmniFocus on the iPad. There's no way you would have a $50 app in the Android market. No one would go for that.
You would not sell near as many. So the proof will be in the pudding, and it'll be interesting to see it. But, at best, I think it'll be good competition for the Apple iPad development team for the next model to just try to stay ahead of everybody. And they usually succeed. Yeah,
they usually do, and that's always fun. And annoying, too, because they have some new thing that makes you want to buy the new device or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the next story, this is the one that I'm kind of sad. And Google is bringing ads to iPads finally. So, do you play Wii Rule at all?
No.
Okay.
I don't have time to get addicted to any games.
Well, with Wii Rule on the iPhone, you have ads. They used to be Google ads, now they're iAds. And on the iPad, there's no ads on We Rule. And it makes me feel special because you can't touch these apps with ads right now. And it's going to be sad when all these wonderful, iPad apps that don't have ads start having them, I think.
Oh, I see your point. Yeah, because especially if you're used to it on the iPad, not having the ads, because it is a step above doing it on the iPhone with ads. So it's coming, huh?
Yeah, evidently. We've got leaderboards, banners, rectangles. I don't know. They're going to be bigger ads too, I think. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think developers will get feedback and they'll scale back if they need to. But yeah, so ads are coming, sadly. And the next one, this is exciting. So we get to go from sad to good stuff here. So future iPads could recognize users' heartbeat, voice, and face.
What?
And I don't know. I came across this. This is wild. It's a patent, I guess. So here's how it reads. The photograph, recording, or heartbeat can be compared respectively to a photograph, recording, or heartbeat of authorized users of an electronic device to determine whether they match. If they do not match, the current user can be detected as an unauthorized user. Does that sound useful?
It does sound useful, but I just fear that it won't recognize me like it should. Something will go awry, and even though I am the authorized user, that it won't let me in. That's the only part that scares me. Or I have an irregular heartbeat, or I've got a fever and I can't go on my iPad. But the technology sounds awesome.
You're jogging, with your iPhone, and because you're jogging, that won't let you in.
Say, sorry, you're in far better shape than the usual user of this device. Sorry.
I think that'd be. I think where they could use that better is multiple logins. I'd love to have a login for kids. If you have a family or whatever, have login for kids, login for parents or whatever, and multiple user accounts. That's something that I think should be on the iPad at some point.
Yeah, yeah. Eventually, maybe even in version 2, I could see that being very useful.
Yeah, because most families can't have like 5 iPads if there's 5 people in the family. So, and digging in the email is not always good for kids to be digging into their parents' email and all that. And the apps themselves should be, I think, different.
Right, and the design, because just like on the computer, I may have, say on my iPad, almost every single page full of apps everywhere, whereas if my wife wants to use it, she only wants like 3 or 4 apps on there, and she doesn't want to have to be swiping all over the place to find hers. But if she had her own login that would give her her own wallpaper and everything, just like on the desktop, that would be great to have.
Yeah, you could even do have a passcode screen, and each person just has a different set of numbers. They just type in the 4 numbers, and they have their iPad, springboard or whatever.
Mm-hmm. It's ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing with multiple users, you could have, for the kids, you can actually turn off Safari so it doesn't show up on the springboard. And you could install some sort of, safer browser if you wanted to. I mean, I think I'd probably, it depends on the family and, trust levels and things. But you could do some cool things for, if you want to have your kid bring an iPad to school, disable Safari, and it'd be more suitable in testing situations. Maybe, I don't know.
Exactly. I think that's a have to very soon. I think that's got to be some sort of, whether it is a whole different browser or just if the kid dials in with their own security code, that it automatically brings up Safari restrictions and things.
Yeah, and I think we'll see this, and we'll also see printer support soon. I think that's coming. Steve hinted, so I think it'll be soon.
If Steve hinted, Tim, I think it's good to go.
Yeah, and I think September, I guess, is. Did you hear that? iPods come out in September, and I think iPad 4.0 beta will finally come out at that point. And I'm a developer. I have it licensed at least, so we'll see what happens in September. So.
I am anxious to hear yet another Steve keynote.
Yeah, likewise. I'm excited for the new iPod Touches, because I don't upgrade my iPhone very often at all, because it's very costly to do that if you're not on contract, which I'm not. So I generally do the iPod Touch deal.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm excited for that, front-facing cameras and everything. But anyways, this is the iPad show.
There you go.
And one thing that not do with your iPad is use it as a way to block bullets.
But
Evidently,
that's what I'm counting on it for when I go downtown.
Well,
it's not going to work.
It doesn't work. Evidently, I got a video here, and someone had an iPad shot with shotguns, so in slow motion. It's kind of tragic. Looks like it's crying.
Tragic for the iPad, and if somebody was actually using it as a shield, tragic for them as well.
Yeah, I think so. It's the video's in the show notes. You can check it out. It's slow motion iPad getting shot with a shotgun. It's on the screen side.
What a waste of an iPad.
Yeah, there's millions of them. We can afford one down the drain. But we got. Let's try to speed this up here. I don't want to keep you all night.
Okay.
But home automation. iPort Music has been doing this for a while. I guess they now added iPads to their home automation system. So they basically have professionals come out to your house and set up the iPad as an integrated way to control lights, security, video, climate control, and all that kind of stuff. It's iPort CM series. So it looks kind of interesting, still kind of vague on what it all does. And I think that'll be kind of the next wave, iPads and homes and automating things.
I would love to have something like that someday.
And I think apartments is where it'd start out. These new apartment complexes. I think that'd be a selling feature in like Chicago or San Francisco to have iPad ready control system or something.
That would be a cool selling point. I need to get out to some model homes. When those do start rolling out somewhere, I just want to go.
Just test it out. Yeah, absolutely. And I've always wanted that. It's like I'd love to be able to just have all my appliances in the kitchen be able to communicate with an app on my iPad or iPhone, or even be location aware of where I am. So you can say at night, if it's between 4 and 7 and I'm 30 minutes from the house, turn on the oven to preheat, or as I drive up the driveway, open the garage door, stuff like that. I think that'd be really cool.
Feed the dogs before I get home.
Yeah, absolutely. Let the dog out of its crate, at such and such time or whatever. But that's cool stuff. But I think videos, I think are there's more and more content coming out each week, it seems, for the iPad. And HBO Go, I think they missed the mark with what they've kind of announced for it. So
and what do they have?
So, are you familiar with HBO Go and what it all does?
Not at all. I saw the headline and I just thought, it's another thing like the Netflix thing and the Hulu thing, but I don't know what the deals are behind it.
It's not good because you need to be an HBO subscriber to get HBO Go. I would love an opportunity to spend $5-10. I wouldn't love to spend $5-10, but
got it.
I prefer that to, I'd love to be able to just do that, not be a TV user, just get HBO Go for $10 a month, and they'd make a lot of money doing that. Right now, it's just included as part of the HBO subscription. It might be a couple bucks extra, but there's no way to actually just get HBO Go by itself. It's not a good model. They should learn from Hulu and Netflix, I think.
And I think they probably eventually will.
Yeah, I think they should. I hope. And I'm not sure if it's out yet. I think they're just testing it or whatever. But it's kind of cool. And let's skip. I'm gonna skip Movie Vault. That's a great app for videos. Basically, all those DVDs that people used to buy of the old classics or whatever. It was like $10 for 50 movies on 5 DVDs. That's what Movie Vault is. That's $5. That's kind of cool.
That is kind of cool. If my mother-in-law had an iPad of her own, she would go for that in a heartbeat. She just loves those old movies.
I got it. I get it for free, but I launched it up, and it's got some decent titles, and they're all the the black and white, some of the captioned ones, and good times. Monster from the Lagoon or whatever, and there's some good titles, but it's not the stuff I'd want to watch that often. But for those that like that kind of stuff, it's there.
Gotta have it for the people that need it.
Yeah, I think so. It's a beautiful interface. If I have to say one thing about it, it's well done. The next one I came across this. My brother, he's not a big iPad guy. He's too much of a feature head to get it.
Oh.
But he came across this and he tweeted this. Verizon is gonna start within your own home, being able to stream your TV stations to the iPad. I think this is kind of cool. I think it'd be cooler if you could do it anywhere in the world or whatever, but it's a step forward.
Is that if you have the Verizon Fios or?
Yeah. If you have Fios, if it detects you're on the same network as your home and you can stream live shows or whatever. I think they're rolling it out pretty soon here, but yeah, it's a step in the right direction, Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see what comes next.
Yeah, exactly. I think within a year we'll have so much content, so many different monthly subscriptions. It'll just be, what can we pick from? We won't need TVs pretty soon.
Yeah, everything you won't have to buy particular packages of this and that. Eventually, it can all be a la carte. If you
exactly.
Like 2 or 3 shows or 2 or 3 networks, that's all you're going to buy.
Yeah, and I think they're scared of that, but they should be excited by that, because if you're good at creating awesome content, you could be the one the one network to be banking it, while everyone else, if it'll really be the networks will make money depending on how good their content is. And right now they're making money just because they're on TV, right?
Exactly.
I mean,
that's not a good model for lasting in this modern age.
It's not, and because I think we'll have better content once this happens. Once this break happens between just getting everything and actually paying for the good stuff, I think we'll have more good stuff. I'm not sure if you kind of agree with that too.
I'm hoping the cream will rise to the top, Tim.
Yeah, I hope so. And let's see. MLB at bats. I've never tried it until a couple days ago. I got it for free. The app itself, it's $15. Are you a baseball fan at all?
Not at all, but I am a huge football fan, and it seems like Major League Baseball comes out with all these great things for iPhones and iPads, and I'm waiting for the NFL to catch up. So tell me about the MLB at bats so I can dream what the NFL could do with it.
Well, the coolest thing is you're able to stream one game a day, I believe, just by buying the app. And basically, you're able to pick any game. I think I wasn't able to do this. I think you need to actually have a username and ID to do the one game a day thing. What I ended up doing is it's $100 a year or $120 a year to just sign up for it. But since we're at the end of the season, I guess it ends in October or whatever, November. It's $30 for the rest of the season. So I figured $30. Let me check this out. Let me see how well this works. And so you basically, I'm not sure if you know baseball. They play like every day of the week, evidently. I'm not a big baseball guy, but I wanted to check it out.
But I know they play a lot of games.
Yeah, it's like this might be another good thing to just have on the background while I'm working. Baseball. And so the quality is fantastic. You get HD content, HD baseball games, and you're able to. It's cool. You're able to jump between the different games as they have commercial breaks, and you're able to actually choose which network, the home or away broadcasting of it, and get the different commentaries between that. And there's a lot of other cool baseball geeky stuff in there. You get the audio streams as well with the app, free of charge. So it's a pretty cool thing.
That is really cool, and that price, especially that discounted price for the rest of the season, that's very doable, I think, for not everybody, but for quite a few people. And if the NFL could do something like that, they'd be getting more of my money.
They would. I'd be watching more games too, because you have to make time. I have to make time to get in front of a TV. I have an iPad with me all the time, so. And yeah, the $120, that's not doable for me right now, even though it's still a good deal if you watch all the content, but I probably wouldn't watch all of it. So yeah. I think $30 a year, they'd they'd make more money with volume
in the long run. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, MLB at Bat, it's pretty cool. I'll probably do a screencast pretty soon on that application to just show everybody, and it's pretty cool. We're getting very close to the end. Let me talk about Kevin Rose and his idea of iTV, and I just highlighted the iPad stuff, and I want to hear your thoughts on this because I think it's pretty cool, especially when relating to NFL, as we were just talking about. Mm-hmm. So the iPad will turn into one big awesome remote control. The iPad will be the preferred input device for the iTV. You'll be able to edit videos, control games, and extend the interactive television experience. Imagine watching Monday Night Football on a TV while viewing/exploring other camera angles on the iPad. Kevin Rose, iTV thoughts. What do you think?
I was spacing out. I was imagining watching Monday Night Football on the TV while viewing and exploring the other camera angles on my iPad. That I think would even drive my wife crazy. She enjoys watching Monday Night Football with me, but I think that is awesome. I'm so in.
That would be, all those upset people yelling at the TV for the bad ref calls. This might alleviate that because you're actually able to zoom in on the different cameras and actually see what's going on better.
I think that's a pretty cool use of the technology, not to mention the other features that you talked about that Kevin mentioned.
Yeah, I think the games will be huge, and I don't know, videos, I think editing videos might happen, I don't know. But I think the interactive TV will be pretty cool, especially when you start to, those ones that you vote on, the different shows that you vote people in and out, just have it pop up on your iPad,
Mm-hmm. Just touch, bing, bing, bing.
Yeah, that'd be very cool.
Yeah,
or,
for those.
Jeopardy. If they had interactive Jeopardy where the people are answering questions, you have input from the audience or whatever, but you have this whole community of Jeopardy people that are answering questions too, and you're able to have a leaderboard, it'd be like a game plus TV I think that'd be cool.
Oh yeah, and some of those Jeopardy viewers are diehards. They could get into that big time. Yeah,
they absolutely could. That'd be pretty cool. It would be like a game, going along with it. I think that'd be very cool.
I mean, when you talk about your podcast being called the iPad Possibilities Podcast, these possibilities, many of them are bound to come sooner or later, and it's just great to imagine them.
Yeah, that's the fun part, but it's even more fun when they actually come out.
Well, yeah, that is even funner.
But it's cool to imagine and stuff like that, But let's see. HTML. Let's see. Let's quickly go. Vimeo has HTML5 video, so you can watch that on your iPad now. Cool. It's very cool.
Good.
So those that use Vimeo, awesome. I'm glad they're doing it, and I'm just waiting on Ustream to catch up here. They're getting more and more mobile content, but not all the way there yet. And Yahoo Mail is HTML5, so it looks pretty now. So that's good for those people that still use Yahoo.
Okay.
So yeah, just an update on HTML5. It's still moving forward, evidently.
I'm glad for that because, I know that, there's not going to be Flash on the iPad, but of course you can jailbreak it and put Flash on there. But, there's a lot of websites where even if it's something where I have a username and password to watch some training videos that I've purchased, I try to watch it on my iPad and it's a no-go. And I'm like, I got to go over to the laptop, open it up, boot it up.
Yeah.
But we're getting, like you said, closer every day.
Yeah, I love having Flash installed on my iPad, and I'll tell you why. It's because it's a terrible experience, and I'll tell you why I love that. Yeah, I can tell them this is what you will receive on your Android phone once they add Flash, because it's based on the same exact engine.
Yeah.
So I love doing that to people. It's like, this is what you will be getting on Android. This is why Steve Jobs wants to kill Flash on mobile devices.
And with good reason.
Exactly. So I love doing that. It's not good for... It's really terrible because YouTube defaults to Flash now. It doesn't play video at all. So I can't play YouTube within the browser anymore. But it's okay for interactive websites, But,
sooner or later, it won't even be an issue.
It won't. Well, just HTML5 everything, and Flash will be I don't know. We'll be there for some things. But before we get to the final picks of the week and all that kind of stuff, the final three things. App updates. WritePad has Dropbox support. Awesome. I think we all love Dropbox. You probably use it on a daily basis as well.
It took a while for people to talk me into it, but now I find more uses for it all the time. So any and all apps that have Dropbox support, that's good for me.
Yeah, and I annotate. I discovered the other day. You open apps with an I annotate, and you edit them. It saves right back in the Dropbox, same version number, and there's some other apps that do that too, and it's pretty cool stuff.
Oh, I need that then, because that's the only drawback I've had is not being able to edit like Word documents or PDFs. But you can do some of that with
iAnnotate does PDFs, and I think there's some others that do the Word docs and stuff. I'm actually going to be putting together a complete, Dropbox episode and just highlighting all the amazing integrations, because I think there's a lot of them out there, but they're all just spread out and people don't kind of know what's out there for Dropbox. I'm going to be doing that pretty soon.
Cool. Well, I am subscribed to the show, and I've got the iPad Possibilities app, and I'll be awaiting that one.
Awesome. Yeah, that one should be coming out pretty soon here. And then, two more things. Just sales I want to mention. Avatar, normally $7, is $1 now. It's a bargain. Grab it. And
wow.
And Newton Gravity HD is free now. It was talked about on this show a while back.
Isn't it amazing that they, even if it's just for a limited time, that some of these offers, if you get them while they're happening, it's just amazing stuff.
It really is, because I had it for the iPhone. I had a free version from some other people I work with, and it was great on the iPhone, but the iPad, it's really remarkable. Actually, I purchased it because, it's $1. Who cares?
Exactly. Once you've got that money in your iTunes store credit, it's almost not like real money. It's so easy to spend $1.99, 99 cents in
absolutely.
There.
And the Newton Gravity HD is a pretty cool game that's free. We've talked about it a couple times in the show. Pretty cool app. I think schools they get use out of it, But those are the app updates. Did you run across any app updates or exciting new apps that came out this week?
Nothing really exciting. Just I'm still waiting for Facebook to have an actual iPad app. I use just the iPhone version and enlarge it on my iPad. And I will say that even though with the new Facebook app, it has that Places, I don't want to use that. But
I don't either. Twitter, I share my location all the time, or I try to. I have to turn it on each time. But Facebook, I'm friends with a lot of people. I just don't want everyone to know where I am or where I live and stuff.
Exactly.
And it's weird because Twitter, I'll post that same information, but I'm not as scared that it's a different audience.
I don't even use my location in Twitter.
You don't? Okay.
No. But my Facebook, the iPhone app, was just, I typed something and push post, and it would just hang for like 30 seconds. But with this update, everything's up to speed now. So not an exciting update, but it's an improvement, so I'll take it.
Have you checked out Friendly yet?
No,
it's $5. It's kind of overpriced for what it does. It's basically an iPad Facebook app. It works really well, and I actually like having that app there because I don't want to be logged into Facebook all the time on mobile Safari from my iPad because I share my iPad so much. I just hand it to people. I don't want people going through my Facebook account and looking at my messages and stuff.
Or posting wonderful things on your behalf.
Yeah, so I think an app's kind of essential just for that one reason, just to have it separate from Safari. And it's a good interface, and it's enjoyable. So I think it's as good as it'll get for a while now.
I might have to check that out. And they're a pretty they're a company with some history. I'm just nervous about giving some of these third-party apps my login credentials. I'm always nervous about.
Oh, right. I'm not sure. Yeah, I haven't looked at that. I probably should have. So yeah, that's the show for today. not really. We've got some picks, but the main content's all done with. So before we get to the picks, I want to have an exciting announcement from Gadget Freeway, the sponsor of this podcast. Starting Tuesday, the 24th, 10% off all their products this Tuesday to the 24th of September. So that's a very nice thing they're doing, and you'll get a lot of they've got a lot of unique products. They've got an iPad pillow, which we talked about the other week, which I used to read books in bed with an iPad and watch videos and stuff, and it's much better than the cases for that kind of stuff, and it works well with the Apple case. And also, they have a pretty cool iPad case bag, which I use whenever I'm out and about. I've got several bags, but that's the one I kind of go to just because you're able to use it as a case and a bag. So it's kind of like your iPhone in that instance where you can just pull it out of your pocket and it's ready to go,
Perfect.
So 10% off. It's a pretty cool deal. And the iPad Pillow will have free shipping, too, for limited time. So, yeah, check it out.
Awesome. 10% off of any of the products?
Anything. And they've got, outer box cases and all sorts of stuff. Just the, main brand stuff as well. They've got some pretty cool stuff. They've got one thing I'm going to check out pretty soon here is if you have an audio receiver, if you're a guy that has all high-end audio gear, they've got a Bluetooth. It's from Griffin, I believe. You just plug this into one of the input jacks, and it's just a Bluetooth receiver. So you could send your iPad audio to your receiver over Bluetooth, and it's some pretty cool stuff over there. So
I will check it out.
So that's at gadgetfreeway.com. And with that said, let's just get on to the picks of the week. And have you been playing with stuff this week? What do you like to use on your iPad?
The things I like to use on my iPad, in some ways I'm kind of behind the times because I hear about a lot of these things on your show and other places. So I'm still, for me, the fact that there is Instapaper, that app has just rocked my world on the iPad. And that app alone has made me much more of a reader. I mean, blog posts that you'd look at them on the website and I'm like, I don't have time right now, save it to Instapaper. And this and that, or this website, save it to Instapaper. So I use that every single day, but and tied in with, Dropbox, and then there's Goodreader, just ways that I can have PDFs ready to view. I look at PDF ebooks and documentations, and it looks beautiful. I just feel special when I'm looking at stuff on the iPad, thanks to Instapaper and Goodreader, as well as the Dropbox app. One thing I discovered a new feature in Instapaper today. The tilt to scroll it's cool. Have you played with that at all? Or do you do tilt to scroll? If you turn off, if you go into Instapaper, I'm not sure if you have your iPad handy. Go into the settings here, and I'm launching up now. If you go in the settings, you'll see the pagination or whatever they call it. And if you turn that off, you'll have this option up at the top right, this little tilting thing. If you click that, if you just tilt your iPad, it scrolls at whatever pace you're tilting at, and it goes backwards too. That'll make reading a game. It works better on the iPhone, I think. It works. It's kind of cool on the iPad, but I found it works pretty cool on the iPhone, especially because I don't know, it feels kind of supernatural. Yeah, I think that would freak me out. but I'm gonna play. Yeah. So how do you use your iPad as a podcaster? What kind of stuff do you use for that? Has it become a part of your, workflow at all, or? Not just yet. Mostly, if I'm saving a document in Dropbox or files that I plan on using as sound clips or intro music or things like that, I am still trying to find, one of those creation apps where I could maybe take a 20 or 30-minute podcast and do some of the editing. I've heard you talk about a few of those, and I've tried them all. I think I may be on to something with that most recent one that was mentioned on your podcast a couple episodes back. I can't think of the name right now. What was that most recent one called? DAW? Multi-track DAW. And I'm still playing with that one. It doesn't
work on jailbroken iPads at all?
Oh, well, I'm still playing with it. It's actually very slick. I love the interface, and it's the first one that I've succeeded in getting, the sound clips in it because it has that iTunes integration, so I don't have to log into FTP or use, Wi-Fi web links and all that nonsense. So I think this one may be really, really good. I just need to play with it more, and I'm sure I'm not going to be able to edit and record an hour and a half long podcast. It just doesn't have enough RAM to render all of that. But I think for something 20 minutes or less, it may do the trick, and it's just cool to use. They've made great use of the touchscreen capabilities on that, and I noticed it's actually been out for quite a while, Tim. But the name. Multi-track DAW. Those are search terms I never would have thought of because I was searching for music editing, podcast editing, audio editing, anything editing, but not multi-track DAW.
Yeah.
But it's a cool app.
DAW. I think I'm not sure what it stands for.
Digital Audio Workstation.
Is it okay? I think that would have made sense to search for, but I don't think that way. I think I want GarageBand for the iPad. Let me search for GarageBand. Nothing showed up.
Oh, that at least, something I already know how to use, but it's fun learning on this one.
Yeah, I think that it'll be good once they start doing some tweaks, and I want a soundboard in that kind of app so I can just drag and drop my different sound files I use. Mm-hmm. But
it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. I think we'll have I think the big thing once we have iLife 11, one more thing. They'll have the entire iLife suite for the iPad released at that same event. I think that's going to happen sometime this year.
I will purchase it immediately.
And Apple will make a lot of money.
There you go.
And cool stuff. And so I was mentioning audio stuff with the Bluetooth receiver over at Gadget Freeway. In one app, it's an iPhone app, but with audio stuff, especially with listening to stuff, I found they're fine on the iPad. You don't look at audio that much.
No.
But Airfoil speakers, they have an iPhone app. It's basically what it is you have Airfoil on your Mac. I believe they have Windows counterparts. I'm not positive, but they're from Rogue Amoeba. And basically you have this app, and it basically sends audio from, Safari, from iTunes, from whatever, application on your Mac or Windows machine. I believe it's Windows 2, to your Apple TV or airport speakers, whatever it is. And what this does, it enables your iPad to become one of those speakers. So it's pretty remarkable, because here's my use case for it. When, Thursday, I like to listen to Cliff Ravenscraft's GSPN live stream, but I don't want to be stuck in front of my computer all day. And since it's Flash, I'm not able to, watch it on my iPad. So what I'll do, I'll just use this application and stream it live, the audio, to my iPad, and just listen to it throughout the house on that.
Ah, I like that, Tim. That's a good use for that. Because, I can't sit in front of a computer too long either. And that could come in quite handy. And, the iPad, as you know, the speakers are pretty good. Get some pretty good sound cranking some music out of that now and then.
Yeah, and that's the benefit here, because it works on the iPhone and stuff. It's designed for that, but the speakers are smaller, so I don't use it as much. And my other pick is pick up Avatar while it's still on sale. I think it was $10 when it first came out. It's $1 now, and it's just really high production value with this app. And if you like the movie at all, you'll like this game, I think.
I did love the movie. I will check that out. Avatar.
Yep, and it's kind of interesting. You can find the apps that are on sale by just checking the top paid app list, pretty much.
That makes sense.
And I'm sure these guys they're banking when they do these sales, right? It's $1, but now they have so much more volume going through that they're just making so much money on these things.
Perfect. More power to them.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the show for the day. Before we leave it off today, where can people find you, and what are you up to? All that kind of good stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, people can find me at mediavoiceovers.com because I do record some voiceovers. I just finished up recording some intros and outros for some other podcasts. I also do my own podcasts, and one of the main ones is Fringe Casting with Wayne and Dan, focused on the TV show Fringe. So you can just go to mediavoiceovers.com/fringe. That show will be back on the air on Fox in just about 3-4 weeks, and we're expecting a great season with alternate universes and all that great stuff. Great technology on that show, some fantastic imaginations going on there. And you can follow me on Twitter at TIWWH, which is just short for my original podcast, Tuning In with Wayne Henderson.
Okay, awesome. And what season is Fringe at now? I'm kind of curious.
This is the 3rd season.
Okay, cool. I'm about to start watching that show. I have not heard a whole lot about it, so.
Yeah, it's at first a lot of people thought it was the X-Files redone. But, with it being J.J. Abrams, there's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of Lost influence.
Oh,
and
Abrams does it. Oh, that's got to be cool.
Yeah, and I've heard from, a lot of the Lost podcasters that I listen to, now that they don't have a show, I think there's going to be a lot more Fringe podcasts all of a sudden.
Yeah, completely. It's got to be a lot more, because the Lost fans are it's like, what's Abram doing now? They know who's behind the scenes with Lost, right? I mean, they're huge diehard fans, most of them. I didn't get into Lost until the season finale, or series finale this year. That's when I watched episode 1.
Oh my! Well, thank goodness the entire complete season comes out on DVD this Tuesday, the 24th.
Yeah, I've been watching the great thing with Lost, Netflix streaming, ABC app. I had 2 sources to watch every episode, pretty much.
Yeah,
and then Hulu Plus had the last season, so I could legitimately watch every episode.
You are covered.
Yes, and I ran through it in about, I think it took me a month to watch all 6 seasons or whatever.
Well, you have seen them all. Awesome.
Yeah, it was quite an experience, because you guys have to wait week to week or whatever, and I just sat down and watched them all, and I don't know, it was intense.
There's something to be said for that, Tim. That's awesome.
But yeah, that's the show for the day. If you want to leave feedback, you can email me at ipadpossibilities@gmail.com. And what I'm really loving is voice feedback. I'd love to get more and more of that. I'd love to have a segment on, an episode a week, or even a whole show on just voice feedback and answering questions and things. Just send those in to 209-542-iPad. That's 4723 if I'm not mistaken. And that's our voicemail box. So send those in. I'll answer questions and all that good stuff. Well, I'm really kind of pushing that. I'd love some more voice feedback. So send those in, 209-542-iPad. And if you want to support this show, go to gadgetfreeway.com. And they've got some they actually make, iPad special things. They have iPads, and they're actually working on something with the Magic Trackpad and the keyboard. And they're working on just developing unique, innovative things that are just missing in the industry right now for solutions to problems. So go to gadgetfreeway.com to find out more about those things, and they also carry some main brand stuff as well. But I'm really digging their exclusive stuff that they actually make in America and do it all themselves. So check out gadgetfreeway.com for more information there, and that is the best way to support this show. And with that said, you've been listening to the iPad Possibilities podcast on tpbn.tv. And if you're, an app user, you'll be finding another video tomorrow. And then, lots of content. So all those premium guys, you now get 5 episodes a week. So yeah, you'll be getting more shows this week. And until next time, this is Tim, and we'll talk again then. Have a great iPad week.